Hey everyone, welcome to today's Explainer. I am so glad you're joining me because today we are unpacking something I know we all do. We're diving right into the actual neuroscience behind our media consumption habits. We're going to see exactly how and why our brains react to the things we watch and listen to. And honestly, the research on how we use our screens and speakers to manage our minds is just mind-blowing. Let's get into it.
Okay, picture this. You know the exact feeling. It's been an incredibly long, exhausting day. You're finally curled up on the couch, you grabbed your favorite blanket, the room is completely quiet, and you have literally thousands of brand new, critically acclaimed movies and shows right at your fingertips. So, what do? You hit play on an episode you've already seen a dozen times, right? We all do it.
So why in the world do you keep rewatching the exact same show when there's an absolute ocean of new content out there? I mean, it's the ultimate modern paradox. Usually, we just brush this off as a guilty pleasure, or we think we're just being lazy. But the science tells a totally different, actually super empowering story. Listen, your brain isn't being lazy, it is being incredibly strategic.
Let's start with Section 1, the modern anxiety epidemic.
To really understand our media habits, we first need to look at the environment our brains are dealing with right now, and why we're all feeling so overwhelmed. The modern world is basically a giant sensory overload. We're exposed to this relentless 24/7 barrage of negative news, from natural disasters to global conflicts, and it just creates this pervasive atmosphere of uncertainty. And then add social media to the mix, right? All those curated highlights that lead to unhealthy comparisons, feelings of inadequacy, and that constant FOMO. Layer on top of that economic instability, daily financial stress, and all the political tension that spills into our lives. It is a constant, heavy stream of stimuli that keeps our minds stuck in hyper-awareness.
So what's happening biologically? Well, when faced with all those perceived threats, your hypothalamus hits the panic button and signals the release of cortisol. That's your stress hormone. This is your classic fight or flight response. Now, it's meant for short bursts, like running from a predator, but the chronic stress of modern life, it keeps our cortisol constantly spiking, and that just completely exhausts our cognitive load. We're draining our mental resources just trying to get through the day.
Moving on to Section 2, the science of predictability. Okay, so your brain is absolutely exhausted. It's overloaded with uncertainty, and it's basically swimming in cortisol. What is its natural go-to solution? It craves predictability. Think about it. If you put on a brand new show, you're dealing with uncertain outcomes and complex new plots. That requires a high cognitive load, mental effort you simply don't have left to spend. But familiar media, it offers you a cognitive discount. You already know exactly what's going to happen. Your brain doesn't have to work to decode character motivations. So instead of getting elevated cortisol from suspense, you get this safe rush of dopamine, the feel-good chemical, just from anticipating your favorite quotes and scenes.
And because there is literally zero ambiguity in a familiar plot, engaging with it can actively lower your heart rate and blood pressure. Seriously, researchers have found that the brain's response to familiar media can actually mirror the effects of mindfulness practices. It promotes a gentle immersion in the moment and creates this incredibly safe space for emotional closure. You get all the catharsis of a story resolving with absolutely none of the anxiety of the unknown. It is quite literally a mental retreat.
Let's pivot a bit for Section 3, the evolution of nostalgia.
Now, TV is just one part of the whole shebang. We also seek out comfort through audio, specifically through a really fascinating emotional trigger, nostalgia. Putting on content from our past transports us back to more carefree times. But get this, society hasn't always understood this need to look backward. Back in 1688, a Swiss doctor named Johannes Hofer observed mercenaries obsessively missing home. He coined the term nostalgia and literally classified it as a cerebral disease. Fast forward to the Civil War in 1863, and Union Army commanders actually banned bands from playing nostalgic tunes because they equated nostalgia with a lethal depression that would ruin the soldiers. By 1938, psychodynamic theorists just brushed it off as an immigrant psychosis. It wasn't until 1979 that researcher Fred Davis finally separated it from homesickness, redefining nostalgia as a complex, positive emotional experience. It's wild how history wildly misunderstood nostalgia before modern science recognized it as a profound strength.
Which brings us to Section 4, psychological benefits of music.
Today, the science is crystal clear. Throwing on a playlist from your teenage years is a powerful psychological tool. Music is one of the absolute strongest triggers for nostalgia, tying heavily to the reminiscence bump of our youth. And studies show that this music-evoked nostalgia builds resilience across 3 crucial domains. First up, the social domain. It acts as an aesthetic surrogate for real interaction, making you feel loved, protected, and connected to others. Next, the self-oriented domain. It directly elevates your self-esteem, brings back a sense of youthfulness, and dramatically cranks up your optimism. Finally, the existential domain. It provides a sense of order. It strengthens your meaning in life and gives you self-continuity, which is basically a really comfortable connection between who you were in the past and who you are right now.
But wait, it gets even more amazing. A 2012 study on music-evoked nostalgia found that listening to evocative pop songs about personal loss and love actually predicted greater perceived physical warmth. Yeah, you heard that right. Researchers suggest nostalgia restores our internal balance by simulating a happy, safe, physical state. They call this the as-if body loop. Essentially, listening to a deeply nostalgic song can literally make your body feel physically warmer and safer. How incredible is that?
And these benefits are so robust, they're actually being applied in clinical settings right now. Because the brain areas associated with musical memories are often preserved relatively unharmed by Alzheimer's and other dementias, doctors are using familiar music to help patients retrieve autobiographical memories. The studies here are beautiful. When people with dementia are exposed to music-evoked nostalgia, they report stronger social connectedness, higher self-esteem, optimism, and just a greater meaning in life. The psychological benefits here are truly life-changing.
Let's wrap this all together in Section 5, Embracing Your Comfort Loop.
So we've seen the neuroscience of why a predictable plot totally calms your cortisol, and we've explored the psychology of why a nostalgic song rockets your emotional resilience. Curating a personal list of shows, movies, and songs that resonate deeply with you, that is not a sign of stagnation. It is a profound act of self-care. Returning to them when the world outside feels chaotic is a highly effective, scientifically backed method of emotional regulation. It's a psychological safe space that you control entirely.
So the very next time you feel a little bit guilty for bypassing the hottest new thriller just to watch that 90s sitcom for the 50th time, remember, you are brilliantly managing your cognitive load. Your brain is just seeking safety, dopamine, and social connection. I want to leave you with this question to ponder. What familiar show or nostalgic song are you going to use for your comfort loop tonight? Seriously, embrace it, enjoy that dopamine hit, and take care of your mind. Thanks so much for joining me on this explainer, and I'll catch you on the next one.